next dish I'd like to show you is a jelly, okay? But there's no gelatine, there's only a pure natural sea vegetable which acts as a gelling agent. It's called agar-agar, and it's really nutritious. In fact, I've heard stories of cultures that go for these agar flakes, cook them and eat them just as a tonic for their skin, but for their whole bodies. This is what they look like. So I'm going to heat up. The basis for the jelly is going to be a juice, so you could use any juice. I'm using this lovely apple and elderflower. It's a natural pressed juice. Okay, so we're going to use 2 cups of apple juice. And then I'm going to put 3 tablespoons of these agar flakes in. And the idea is that they completely dissolve, and that will take about 8 to 10 minutes. You bring your juice to a kind of high simmer for 10 minutes while these flakes dissolve. And while they're cooking, I'm going to prepare some fruit to sit on the bottom of the dish for this nice jelly. My children, they ask for this jelly constantly. It's great. In fact, I started giving this to the baby. You'll see it in my book, I think, towards the end of the first year. Babies would really benefit from this because it's really easy to digest, just especially without any fruit going in, or very, very soft fruit inside. I'm going to use some strawberries and blueberries today. Well, you can use whatever's in season. Pear is really nice. Plum. You can use a combination of fruits. And I just use them raw, put them in at the bottom of the dish, and we'll pour this lovely jelly concoction on top. Allow it to set, and then it will firm up. This pan is coming to a boil now, so I'm going to turn the heat down and really let that simmer now until those flakes are dissolved. Another way I like to use the agar flakes, in fact, is to put them in the same way, but instead of using juice, I would use a plant milk, almond milk, coconut milk, rice milk, something like that. If you want to make a nice pink coloured one, I probably combine strawberries and blueberries or other berries in the same fashion in a bowl. Apply the mixture on top, let that cool and set, and then that whiz it up very, very slightly, and you get this lovely yogurt consistency. Oh, that's a winner too. Okay. The agar flakes with the juice just needs a few more minutes until you see a little gel-like texture forming around the inner surface of the pan. Then you know it's really on its way to gelling up. Yeah, this should be ready now. So I'm going to turn off the heat. Just pour over our lovely fruit, our lovely berries. And you could really vary this. You could add vanilla in. You could have a lemony jelly, lime. Now we've made 4 really abundant jellies portions with that. So I'm just going to leave that out to cool down and set. You could transfer it into the fridge after it's got a little bit cooler. Enjoy. So, miso soup now for your little ones. It's going to be a really, it's got to start off quite dilute for a baby, and then it could get steadily stronger in terms of miso immersion as they get older. But the beauty of using this fresh miso paste is that it acts as a natural probiotic. So it harbours the lactobacilli, or the good gut bacteria. It's made from the soybean in a fermented manner. This soup is really vitalising, and both adults and children can equally go for this. I'm actually going to make a nice broth with some carrots, celery, sweet potato or pumpkin you could use for sweetness, and courgette. Little ones often like courgette, and sweet potato too, all these vegetables in fact. Thought it would be nice to add today some tofu to give you that plant protein. And these are organic brown rice noodles. Any miso soup wouldn't be complete without a seaweed, yeah? So seaweeds offer all this nutrition, calcium, iron, a whole host of vitamins and minerals. This is one of my staple recipes. If the children aren't well, it's very strengthening. You could add even more seaweed. You could add burdock, which is a very strengthening tuber. And it confers real vitality. We're going to start off with just a dash of sesame oil, just a nice quality oil. And while that's heating, I'm going to cut this yellow carrot. When I was weaning, I would make a soup like this, and then I might give the baby the liquid and fish out the vegetables. I'd make sure I'd cut them, probably more as matchstick. The baby could hold on to and experiment and play with and maybe even eat. So onions going in. You don't have to have loads of vegetables. You could just do this with your liquid, your miso, your seaweed and your noodles. But it just gives them a bit more bulk or substance to the broth, having some veggies in there. Okay, so courgette going in. We'll have a little bit of celery and sweet potato. Sweet potato is nice, or pumpkin, because it gives some sweetness to your broth and colour. And you could make a whole volume, a whole stock of this. You could freeze it, and I'm going to show you with the miso because that goes in last. So you'd freeze it without the miso added. Okay, so I'm just going to fold that all through. And it's nice to have oil at the bottom to give your soup a richness. If you wanted it really cleansing, then you just omit the oil. So I'm going to add some boiling water now to more than cover, so you've got a really nice broth cooking. Okay. And I'm going to bring that to the boil, and that's going to cook, and it takes a few minutes, it doesn't take long. I'm going to add this lovely tofu, and tofu's really one of the first plant proteins you're going to start your baby off with weaning, because it's so easy to eat. Beans are going to be too taxing for an immature digestive system. We all know ourselves that beans need to be really, really soft and cooked really well in order for them to be digestible. And while that's cooking, I'm going to add these lovely brown rice noodles to give some real substance to the dish. Offers some of that complex carbohydrate quality from the brown rice. And the children will like fishing them out and sucking them up. Noodles and pastas, it's really nice to source different types, not just the wheat ones, the brown rice ones, and there's lots on the market. And that's going to be your first carbohydrate, really, apart from the rice cream, which I talk about in the book, for the baby to go for. So the rice cream is the alternative to that cow's milk when you're weaning, and it's made from rice cooked in here with lots of water, then pushed through a sieve, so you get this really, really nourishing liquid, which becomes thicker and thicker as the baby gets older. And it's full of lots of nutrition, because it's all the nutrition from that whole grain, that whole brown rice grain. And you can vary it by using other grains or grains in combination to get more variety into your little one. We're going to add that lovely seaweed I mentioned. This is the wakame, which is traditionally found in miso soups. And then I've got another variety I'd really like to show you, which is a bit pinker. This is called dulse. It's particularly iron rich, and it's very gentle, so they're very detoxifying. They can bind any toxicity or heavy metals and expel it from the system. So they're very cleansing. I've noticed now that the pan's come to a boil, so I'm going to reduce the heat and simmer that. I'm going to rinse these sea vegetables. And then just trim them into our soup. If you wanted your vegetables softer for your baby, then you might let them cook a bit longer. But for a toddler, preschooler, schooler, or an adult even, this is absolutely fine. You've still got a little bit of bite, so it's really nice and fresh. So the way the miso is added, I'm going to show you now. For children, I would definitely add the miso straight to their bowl, so you can really control the amount you're giving them, because it is salty. So for an adult, I would allow a teaspoon of miso per serving, and for a little toddler, preschooler, I'd probably allow about a third of a teaspoon, and you just mix it in. If I wanted the rest of the soup for the adults, you could put it straight into the whole pan, the miso, or if I wanted to reserve this soup and have it tomorrow, I would just add miso to the bit I'm having today. The reason being is because it contains these live enzymes or lactobacilli. Too strong a heat denatures them, yeah? So it's really nice just to add the miso to the portion you're having at that moment. So this is ready for one little person, a lovely mini miso soup.